Now, coming to the 61st question, the Union government has recently launched the Parivesh platform. What is this related to? See, the Parivesh platform is proactive and responsive facilitation by interactive, virtuous, and environmental single window hub on the occasion of World Biofuel Day. Parivesh is a single window integrated environmental management system developed in pursuance of the spirit of digital India. Parivesh automates the entire process of submitting the application and tracking the status of such proposals at each stage of processing. Now, Parivesh basically what it does is it enhances the efficiency, the transparency, and accountability in environmental clearance, wildlife, and coastal regulation zone clearance processes. Okay. Bombay Reef. Now, this is a map based question. Bombay Reef is in the South China Sea. Okay. And this is a part, an atoll of the Paracel Islands. You can go through the explanation yourself. This is an important question, not only from the perspective of prelims but also for understanding. Okay. And this is basically you have to arrange these acts in the chronological order. Now you can go through this question yourself. It is self-explanatory. Legally binding agreements. See, the Rio de Janeiro summit is also called as your Earth Summit, right? Earth Summit of 1992. Now, it resulted in the following documents: the Agenda 21 document, the Forest Principles, and the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. Moreover, this Earth Summit laid open three legally binding agreements, which were your CBD, which is Convention on Biological Diversity. Then you have CCD, which is your Convention to Combat Desertification. And the third is your FCCC. This is Framework Convention on Climate Change. Okay, so these three agreements were laid open at the Earth Summit, whereas the Earth Summit resulted in these three documents: Agenda 21, Forest Principles, and the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. Now, SDRs. To which of the following international financial institution is the term special drawing rights related to? Now, what are SDRs first of all? SDRs are nothing but these are foreign exchange reserve assets. These were introduced by the IMF in 1969 to address the shortfall in international trade currencies, because until or before these SDRs were introduced, the international trade was carried out in terms of gold or US dollars, but both these were limited. Now, to counter the situation, IMF introduced SDRs, which are special drawing rights, in 1969. Now, how is the value of SDR decided? The value of SDR is decided on a basket of currencies. Now, originally this basket contained only 4 currencies. What were the 4 currencies? These were your US dollar, the euro, the British pound or the pound sterling, okay, and the Japanese yen. Okay. Now, in 2015, a new currency was added, which was your Chinese renminbi. Now, this was an account of the spectacular rise of the Chinese economy in the 90s and the early 2000s. Okay. These are your SDRs. Therefore, the answer to this question would be International Monetary Fund. Now, coming to the next, the following are the statements about the Gaganyaan mission. Now, what is Gaganyaan mission? This is the ISRO's or India's first manned mission. Manned mission meaning this mission will basically send a man into space. It is the first human space flight program by India. ठीक है? This is your Gaganyaan. Remember this, Gaganyaan. ठीक है? Now it will be launched by GSLV. These are things to be remembered. This will be launched by GSLV Mark III. This is the first human mission to be indigenously developed by ISRO. It comprises of only service module called the orbital module. Now this is false. It will contain a service module as well as your crew module. And 3 unmanned, not 3 but on 2 unmanned missions, Gaganyaan missions will be sent before the man is sent to space, before the manned mission. 67th question. What is Digital Sky Platform? Now Digital Sky Platform is basically remember this, Digital Sky Platform. This is an online registration platform for drones. What are drones? These are unmanned aircrafts or remotely controlled aircrafts. Okay, so basically Digital Sky Platform is to regulate or to register these drones, and this will follow, it will implement the no permission no takeoff. That is, a drone cannot take off without permission or without the registration. Moreover, not all drones will be registered. Drones are divided into 5 categories. Okay, there are 5 categories into which drones are divided, starting from nano, which is up till 250 grams. Then you have the micro, small, medium and large. These are the 5 categories. Now starting from micro and above, all these drones will have to be registered under your Digital Sky Platform. Okay, so what is Digital Sky Platform? It is the national unmanned traffic management platform. Unmanned traffic matlab the traffic due to unmanned aircrafts, which are your drones. The percentage of moon visible from Earth could be explained by, see, the options are tidal locking, then you have lunar vibrations, then you have both, and D is none. See, the percentage of moon visible from Earth. In general, only one face of the moon is visible from Earth. ठीक है? Only one face of the moon is visible to Earth. This face is called your near side of the moon, whereas the other side which is not visible is called your far side of the moon. ठीक है? अब इसमें क्या होता है? See, now this principle of why only one face of the moon is visible from the Earth, this can be explained by the principle of tidal locking. Tidal locking. What is tidal locking? This is, see, I'll write it again. This is your tidal, Tidal locking. What is tidal locking? Tidal locking basically means synchronized or synchronous rotation. ठीक है? अब synchronous rotation में क्या होता है? Suppose this is your Earth and this is your orbit of the moon around the Earth. And suppose this is your moon. Now this is the near side. Now what happens is, the time the moon takes to rotate on its axis, which is 27 days, now this equals the time the moon takes to complete one revolution around the Earth. This is your Earth. ठीक है ना? So basically the time of rotation of the moon on its axis is equal to the time of revolution of the moon around the Earth. ठीक है ना? And because of this, what happens is, at any point on the orbit, ठीक है ना, whenever the moon is on the orbit, only one face of the moon is visible to us. Are you getting this? Are you able to understand this diagram? This principle is called as your tidal locking. ठीक है? Now according to this, only 50% of the moon should have been visible from one side of the Earth. However, what is visible is more than 50%. We are able to view around 59% of the surface of the moon. Now why is this? This is because of lunar vibrations. Now, what are lunar vibrations? It is explained by a single phrase, which is a slight north-south rocking and east-west wobbling of the moon. What is wobbling? Wobbling का मतलब टेढ़ा मेढ़ा चलना. ठीक है? Suppose a man or a child is wobbling. It means he is not able to walk straight. वो गिरते पड़ते चल रहा है. So this, because of this north-south rocking plus your east-west wobbling, these combined give us what is called as your lunar vibrations, due to which around 59% of the surface of the moon is visible from the surface of the earth. The next question: which of the following is included in the term state defined under Article 12? Now see, what does Article 12 contain? Article 12 is listed in the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, which explains or which gives the definition of state as it is used in various provisions of fundamental rights. Now, according to this definition, it contains the executive and the legislature of union and states. Second, you have all local authorities, and third is all other authorities other than the above two, all other authorities like statutory and non-statutory authorities. ठीक है, statutory and non-statutory. All these combined gives you the definition of state. Now in this, the judiciary is not included. And in the options or the statements here, you have the judiciary. So this is wrong. The second statement is wrong. Okay? So the answer comes out as C. Similarly, which of the following statements is correct regarding the preamble? Now you can go through this question yourself. This is a question from Indian Polity. Okay? I expect you to go through this question. The Keshav Nand Bharti case had said that the preamble is a part of this constitution. Okay na? The question is asking which is correct. So this is wrong. It was amended only once in the 42nd Amendment Act, which had inserted 3 words into the preamble. What were they? They were socialist, secular and integrity. Okay? So remember these points. These are very important and you can get confused in the exam if you're not thorough with your polity. The soil's color changes from red to brown color. They're generally poor and contain little humus and organic matter. Lower horizons of the soil are occupied by conker layers because of the increasing calcium content downwards, which restricts the infiltration of water. What type of soil is described here? This is your arid soil. ठीक है ना? This is your arid soil. ठीक है ना? Laterite soil is your, this is made from the term latter, which basically means burnt brick. ठीक है? The answer here is arid soil, which is less in water. Okay, you can read the characteristics of arid soil here. Lord Macaulay's minute. Now this again I would expect you to be aware of. He had not supported vernacular languages as medium of instruction. He had rather supported English to be the medium of instruction. Large number of elementary schools were to be started. Now again this is wrong. The government had opened few English schools and colleges instead of large number of elementary schools. ठीक है ना? And thus it had neglected mass education. The British planned to educate a small section of upper and middle classes who would act as interpreters between the government and the masses. This section would enrich the vernaculars by which knowledge of Western sciences and literature would reach the masses. This is called the downward filtration theory. Now this question is very important because education also forms a very important portion in your mains perspective in GS2, right? The issues related to health, and the British policy of education has largely been carried forward into the modern society in modern India, which is the reason for the large scale uneducated people in India. ठीक है ना? Because the British themselves had wanted to create a small section of educated who would act as interpreters between the British government and this. Now the third, Indian learning though. See, Indian learning was considered as inferior by by Macaulay, and he was basically an Anglicist. There was a debate between the Anglicists versus the Orientalists. ठीक है ना. There is something called as, see, anglicist का मतलब क्या होता है? These were in favor of British education. Then you have a term called Orientalist. Oriental मतलब basically it is pertaining to the East. ठीक है. And you have similarly the Occidental. Occidental means your West. तो Occidental versus Oriental मतलब Western culture versus your Eastern culture. East मतलब China, India and such. ठीक है. So this is your Thomas Macaulay's minute. Next we come to 73rd question. The Indian National Army was started by Subhash Chandra Bose in 1942. Now this is wrong. The Indian National Army was started by Mohan Singh and not Subhash Chandra Bose. Mohan Singh had basically handed over INA to Subhash Chandra Bose for his leadership. Second, it was a check against the misconduct of Japanese against Indians in Southeast Asia and a bulwark against the future Japanese occupation of India. Now the second statement is correct. Okay? The second statement is correct. Third, it was used as a combat force along with the Japanese forces. Now this is wrong. Okay? Which of the following options is correct? C. The answer here is C, which is 2 only. ठीक है. The Indian National Army was started by Mohan Singh. The Indian idea of Indian National Army was first conceived by Mohan Singh, an officer of the British Indian Army, when he decided not to join the retreating British Army, instead turned to Japanese for help. The Japanese had occupied Southeast Asia. There they resorted to atrocities against the locals, especially women. INA was seen by many as a check against the misconduct of Japanese against Indians in Southeast Asia and a bulwark against the future Japanese occupation. The soldiers were not, the INA was not used as a combat force along with Japanese, rather, they had faced discriminatory treatment. They were denied rations and arms and were made to do menial work for Japanese units. This completely demoralized the INA units. Consider the following statements with respect to the Karst region. Okay, now what is this Karst region? Let us read about it. This region has a very thick and weak soils. The surface drainage is generally absent. The region generally exhibits luxurious growth of vegetation. Limestone is a metamorphic rock. Okay, now D is wrong absolutely. Limestone is a sedimentary rock and not a metamorphic. So we can eliminate option 4. Then you have 1 and 2 only. Let us consider the first region. The first is region has very thick and weak soils. Now this statement is wrong. Why? Karst regions have limestone which is easily soluble in rain water. Karst regions have bleak landscape and at best carry a thin layer of soil. In karst regions, there is a general absence of surface drainage as most of the surface water has gone underground. Streams rising over other rocks flow over the limestone for a short distance. For a greater part of the coast, they cut their way across the along the joints and fissures of rock, forming a system of underground channels. ठीक है. Now, what is this karst region? Let us understand it briefly. See, karst region. What is karst basically? Now karst have been very important, especially, and they have been coming in news recently because of the increasing importance of them being sources for water. ठीक है ना? Around 20 to 25% of the world's water comes from the karst region. These are deep aquifers of water. Aquifers meaning storing wells. ठीक है? Natural storing wells. Now, karst is a topography that is formed by dissolution, dissolution of soluble rocks such as limestone and dolomite. Now, karst region, it has limestone which is easily soluble in rainwater. ठीक है? Easily soluble in rainwater. Thus, it has a very thin layer of soil and hence it cannot support thick vegetation. At best, it can support some grass and short turf. ठीक है? Moreover, this limestone is a sedimentary rock and not a metamorphic rock. ठीक है. Further, as far as the second statement is concerned, there is no surface drainage. ठीक है ना? Because as most of the water that is collected over the limestone or the karst region, it basically goes underground. The streams that are rising over other rocks flow over the limestone for a short distance and then it disappears underground. For a greater part of the course, they cut their way along joints and fissures of rock, forming a system of underground channels. So now 75. Which of the following statements are correct about man-portable anti-tank guided missile? It is developed in collaboration with Russia. A third generation anti-tank guided missile has a maximum engagement range of around 250 kilometers. Okay. Now let us go to the explanation. Indigenously developed man-portable anti-tank guided missile MPA-TG. Okay. Moreover, it is a third generation anti-tank guided missile fitted with high explosive anti-tank warhead, which is HEAT, has a maximum engagement range of around 2.5 kilometers. Now, this question is related to your Ashok Dalwai committee. This was formed to chalk out a framework for doubling farmers' income by 2022. It noted that policy should focus on creating favorable investment climate for increasing the investment in agriculture. An additional investment of rupees 6399 billion is required from both public and private sectors to enable the doubling of farmers' real income by 2022. Okay? Now, what is global living? Now, in one of the questions earlier, we have seen ease of living index, right? Now here it is talking about the global livability index. Ease of living index was released by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. If you remember, there were four pillars: physical, social, economic, and there was one more. Okay, na? Just go through that question again. And it is released by Global Network for Sustainable Housing. Most of the cities in the top 10 ranks belong to Denmark. Now the explanation. See, it is not Global Network for Sustainable Housing, but it is Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU, which is part of the magazine The Economist that has released this index. Moreover, 10 most livable cities list includes Vienna, Austria, Melbourne, Australia, Japan, Canada, Sydney, Vancouver, Canada, Toronto, Canada, Tokyo, Copenhagen, etc. ठीक है ना? So this is about your global livability index. In general, such questions will not be asked, and the second statement is an extreme statement. All 10 cities cannot belong to a single country. ठीक है ना? Now, which of the following is a federal feature? All India. See, All India Services is a unitary feature because it basically shows the control of center over the states, because All India Services are recruited and trained by the center. However, they serve both in the center and the states by turns. Further, the ultimate control of the All India Services lies with the center, whereas the immediate control lies with the states. States are not indestructible. Again, this is a unitary feature. Written constitution. Written constitution is a federal feature. Why? Because being written, the central government cannot twist the laws or the articles or the provisions of the constitution and destroy the federalism of the country. So basically, it protects the federal nature of the Indian government, and hence it protects the states. Thus, written constitution is a federal feature. Strong center is again a unitary feature. Which among the following are the constitutional provisions regarding interstate water? See, the Indian Constitution provides for the adjudication of interstate water disputes in Article 262. Okay? The Parliament has been empowered to make a law to deal with the disputes. This is correct. Parliament cannot exclude. Now, this is incorrect. The Parliament has the power to provide that neither the Supreme Court nor any other court is to exercise jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute or complaint. Consider the following statements about DPSPs, the directive principles of state policy. They have no legal sanctions. Take true. They are non-justiciable. Matlab, a person cannot enforce can ask the court for enforcing these DPSPs. So these are non-justiciable in nature. The courts can declare a law violative of any DPSP as unconstitutional, invalid. Now this is wrong. Okay, let us go to the explanation. The DPSPs are constitutional instructions or recommendations to the state in the legislative, executive, and administrative matters. Hence, they are not, or they do not have legal sanctions, and they are non-justiciable. The courts cannot declare a law violative of DPSP as invalid as in case of the fundamental rights. ठीक है? Is this clear? So that is the end of the session.